I was clear that I wanted to do it, but I was so scared to do it. Most people don't fail because they lack purpose. They stall because their purpose can't survive their next level of growth. That's two different things. The things you did starting out, whether it be goals, habits, even the way you thought about meaning, they can actually become your ceiling to growth because you're plateaued at what you thought was your purpose. Your next breakthrough doesn't come from finding your purpose. It comes from evolving your purpose. For example, when I first started to invest FAR, the only thing that I wanted to do was fire my boss. I hated my job. Before I was a model and I had freedom to do whatever I wanted. So when I first started my company, it was to basically make ends meet or supplement my income. But as I got going within my business, I ended up having a kid. So my purpose, it wasn't fixed. It was iterative because I had a child, so I had to adjust what my purpose was during that time frame. So it went from me just making ends meet to now wanting to scale my business to remove myself from the business and hire employees. So when I scaled, my purpose became growth and influence, because with growth and influence, that will allow me the freedom that I wanted and will also provide me legacy because now I have a child that I want to pass things on to. So you can see the process of my same purpose change throughout the course of my journey. Every level of life requires a version of purpose that can handle the complexity, the stakes, and the opportunities that are at that particular juncture of your journey. So I want you to keep in mind that when you're thinking about your purpose is iterative, not fixed. It must evolve as your capacity and opportunities expand. Action reveals alignment. It also shows you what's meaningful to what you're trying to do in the real world around you and the people that you're trying to service. So a lot of times when people are through this process of trying to find clarity or give movement, clarity can sometimes feel like a comfort zone. And we all know comfort zones are a trap. So I want you to think about it. Comfort for some people means clarity, but on the other side of uncomfort is where your biggest breakthroughs will come. I say this because I remember I wanted to jump out of a plane. I was clear that I wanted to do it, but I was so scared to do it. I was thinking that, people know about skydiving and the risks that come with that. But when I did it, the clarity that came from me taking that action and doing it and jumping out of a plane, it took my life and my business to the next level. So the clarity was me breaking out of my comfort zone. So think about it. Comfort can be great, but it's also a trap. And so I'm saying that because a rigid purpose creates a comfort ceiling. So if your purpose is locked to one identity and one outcome, so the moment your circumstances change, your whole entire system stalls out. What if I wasn't iterative? My entire business would have fell apart, or I would have had to go back to work and get a job because I wasn't prepared, or I didn't think about iterating and trying to navigate this new thing that happened in my life. So purpose should adapt as your responsibilities, reach, and stakes and opportunities start to expand. So think about what I said. Rigid purpose creates comfort ceilings that cap income and influence, but meaning adapts your responsibilities and increases your growth and reach. So if you think about how purpose evolves in motion, or I would say momentum really reveals if your future self is headed in the right direction, because you have this thing called synchronicities that start to open up in your life. You might have experienced this in your life where you might have had an idea and then all of a sudden everything opens up for that idea. A person reaches out to you, or one of your friends that you talk to is like, hey man, I just ran across this guy the other day who did this. Or you bump into somebody at the store who just randomly starts having a conversation with you, and you guys uncover that you're doing the same thing, or they might know somebody doing something that you're doing right now, or whatever. You all had these experiences in life where you are doing something and then so many different things started happening in succession with the idea that you have. That's momentum following and aligning you with your purpose. Those aren't just by chance. That doesn't happen by happenstance. That's for you to understand, and I would say the universe is letting you know that you're on the right path and that your future self is going to thank you because you're following it in your purpose. You're iterating as time goes and you're growing with the momentum. And that's what you want. You don't want to just be out here and be like, oh, I figured out what I want to do with my life. That's cool. So what happens when you get hit with a curveball throughout life? Do you fall off your purpose, or do you just be like, you know what? I'm going to just make the adjustment. I'm going to adapt and make sure that I can withstand whatever life throws at me to make sure I stay on course with what my purpose is. So again, momentum reveals the direction your future self is headed toward. So your next level of life, or your journey with you discovering your purpose and moving through it with momentum, it doesn't need a new goal or a new task. It needs a more evolved version of you. So once you start to evolve your purpose, that evolves your identity, and your results start to follow automatically. So most of you, if you haven't figured out what your purpose is, if you're watching this video, this is the beginning. If you're watching this, then you kind of have an idea of what your purpose is, or you're trying to discover that. Once you figure out what that is, I would say stop chasing purpose, start growing it. Because once you do that, you're going to evolve. And I always hear Kobe, I reference Kobe in a lot of my videos, because for me, and especially throughout this Inner Architect series, because he, to me, was a person that everyone knew what his identity was. If you saw that in the last video, Mamba mentality. He had an identity. I want you to develop what your identity is. I want people to know you for what that is. And it's not going to always be the same. Identity changes over time. At one point in time, throughout my process, my identity was the model, because that's what I did. It was literally my nickname. People had my name in their phone as the model. And then it went from that to being the money guy. So I was the money guy because I started working in the bank, and then I created a financial services company. So people just knew me as the money guy. People that know me as the money guy have no idea that I was a model, even though the people from that now see me as the money guy. But it's like they can't see me. They're like, man, I can't see Andre being that person that he is now. But my identity changed. Look at where I am now. Look at what I'm teaching. Now I went from being the money guy, and I still do this, and people still know me as that. But also I do things as far as mindset, integrative psychology, NLP, peak performance. So your identity is going to change over time. And that's your job. That's your job, to iterate throughout life, because you're going to grow. You're going to go through different phases of life, because that's how it goes. And you don't want to stay and hit your ceiling because, hey, this is what my purpose is, and this is what I'm going to stick with. So that's the purpose of the Inner Architect series, is for you to understand that your identity is fluid. It's going to change, but don't be stuck. The blueprint of this video was for you to understand that purpose is iterative. It's going to change. Be one identity, but don't be scared to grow and evolve as you evolve as a person. So I hope you are following the Inner Architect series. And if this is your first video, go back and watch the first episode, because in this series is basically giving you the foundation and the blueprint so you can change with it. So welcome to the Inner Architect series. What I'm saying to you about boosting your income and what Nipsey did was powerful. Most high performers live that way. I do the same thing. But it only works if it's backed by daily